All right, I'm here with Chief Harcrow from the Albany Fire Department, and of course, it's Thanksgiving. Everybody's getting set to get into the kitchen if they're not there already for today. Chief, tell us a little bit about some of the tips that you can give them so that, you know, we're always thankful that you guys are there for us, but a lot of times, well, we don't really want you guys visiting us on Thanksgiving.
Right. Well, of course, the main thing we want to get across to everybody is to make sure if you're going to be cooking today, which most people are because it's Thanksgiving,
Right.
if you're going to be cooking, stay in the kitchen. More often than not, people leave the kitchen, they forget about what they're doing, excuse me, they get distracted, and by the time they return to the kitchen, then they return to find, you know, a fire or a grease fire or something like that. So the biggest thing we try to make sure everybody understand is stay in the kitchen while you're cooking, and you can usually eliminate those problems.
Yeah, and maybe be sure to put a timer on a lot of things. You know, keep yourself, you know, you may be in the kitchen, you might still be on your phone, get distracted, you know, something like that may happen. And I guess if you have a timer, that can actually help as well, right?
It can. Like I say, most stoves now do have a timer on them. Yeah. And if you know you're going to be cooking a certain item for a certain amount of time, it's a good idea to set that timer to remind you just so that you don't get distracted and forget about it.
Right. Well, what about those fried turkeys? I know they're awfully popular right now, and unfortunately, we've seen the video, we hear the stories. Every year, there's always somebody that, you know, takes it on for the first time and has a bit of an accident. What should people look for if they try that?
Right. Fried turkeys are becoming very popular. We always want to urge everybody to do that outside. You don't want to do that inside. There's really two major problems when somebody's frying a turkey. Number one, they generally don't get the oil ratio exactly right. They end up with too much oil in the pan, and then when they put the bird in, the bird actually displaces that oil, which causes it to come out over the top, contact with the flame, and you have a fire that way. The other problem is a lot of times people don't completely thaw their bird. If a bird has ice on it, when water expands at 212 degrees, it actually expands 1,700 times. Wow. So with that rate of expansion, and it happens so quickly because the oil is boiling, it actually forces the oil out of the pan as well. And again, you have the same problem. So the biggest thing is make sure you have the right amount of oil, make sure you're in a very open space, well ventilated, and slowly put that bird in and make sure that it's completely thawed so that you don't have that water expansion.
All right, certainly good advice. We'll talk more with you in just a little bit. Now, on over to Kelly. All right, welcome back to Good Day. Back talking with Chief Harcrow from the Albany Fire Department. And of course, Chief, last time we talked about Thanksgiving preparations and what to do, what not to do as far as in the kitchen. Now, let's go outside the kitchen a little bit, maybe inside the house or outside the house. If you're putting up Christmas lights and stuff. A lot of people want to start doing that this time of year. What are some of the tips on getting maybe a live tree or an artificial tree? Which one's better? And if you do get a live tree, what are some of the precautions you need to take?
Right, there's a big debate whether a live tree or an artificial tree is best, and I've had both. The most important thing with a live tree is you want to make sure you keep it watered. Right. When you buy it, you want to check it, make sure that it does have good hydration. You know, bend the leaves, make sure everything's good on the needles, and then keep it watered regularly throughout the season. You don't want to let it dry out at all. You want to make sure that you use UL listed lights. Right. Those are lights that have been tested. That are approved to be put on the tree. You never want to leave that tree lit. You know, a lot of people will light their tree because it looks pretty in the window, and they'll leave to go shopping or whatever. Been to countless fires where people have left the tree on and left, and something happened while they were gone. Right. Any electrical appliance, whether it be a cord, an actual appliance, over a period of time will wear out, will short out. So we want to recommend that you never leave the tree on. Even when you go to bed at night, it's a good idea to turn it off. Artificial trees are safer. Most of them are treated with a fire retardant, but you don't get that smell and everything that people associate with Christmas. But you know, it's personal preference. But if you do have a live tree, just make sure you keep it watered, and make sure you keep an eye on those lights. Make sure your cords aren't frayed, anything like that.
Now, yeah, how far, or should people just not even consider putting their tree next to or nearby the fireplace?
Yeah. The problem with that is radiant heat. You know, it's going to give off the heat. Same problem with space heaters. The main problem we have with people with space heaters, they want to sit it down and then they want to sit right in front of it because that's where most direct heat is. That tends to dry the material out. The same thing will happen in front of a fireplace. As the radiant heat comes out of the fireplace, the tree will absorb that heat. It'll dry the limbs out, and that just increases the hazard. So, you know, keep it away from the fireplace. It makes for a pretty picture, but you know, if it's not worth the possibility of having a fire in your home just for that look.
Right, and I know we're coming up on our first official freeze of the year. We've been pretty chilly already this year, but for the season will be our first freeze, it looks like, on Sunday morning. What can you tell people about precautions about space heaters and the like, since we're kind of on that subject?
All right, there again, you know, space heaters are fine as long as you're conscious of how you're using them. Don't put anything within a 3-foot radius in front of it. Right. Most of them are designed, if they get tipped over, they have a mercury switch in them which will shut them off, which is a good idea. But generally the problem is materials that are left too close to it that, like say, dry out and catch fire that way. Sometimes we find where people actually use their stove or their oven to heat their home. Yeah. Never want to do that. That's not what it's designed for. Right. A lot of times, this time of year, especially the first real cold, people will turn that heat on for the first time. The dust that collects on those heat strips will actually burn off. We get a lot of calls to smoke odors, and occasionally you will even see a little bit of smoke coming out of your vents. Right. Generally, that's not a big issue, but give us a call. We'll come check it out and verify that's what it is. But the biggest thing is just a little preventive maintenance. Get ready for it, and then expect it.
All right. Well, thanks for giving us those tips this morning. Thanks for coming in. And, of course,